नमस्ते नरसिंहाय प्रह्लादलाददायिने हिरण्यकशिपुर्वक्षः श्रीलटङ्घनखलये श्रीलटङ्घनखलये इतो नृसिंहा परतो नृसिंहा यतो यतो यामि ततो नृसिंहा यतो यतो यामि ततो नृसिंहा बहिर्नृसिंहा हृदये नृसिंहा नरसिंहमदिं शरणं प्रपद्ये नरसिंहमदिं शरणं तव करकमलवरे नखा अद्भुतशृङ्गा दलिता हिरण्यकशिपु तनुभृङ्गा केशवधृता हरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे कमलवरे नखा अद्भुत श्रृंगा हिरण्य तनुभृङ्गा केशवधृता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जगदीश हरे जय केशवधृता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे केशवधृता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय नरसिंहदेव 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 जय नरसिंहदेव जय जय प्रह्लाद महाराज प्रह्लाद महाराज प्रह्लाद महाराज जय प्रह्लाद महाराज प्रेम से बोले सर्व विघ्न विनाशक श्री लक्ष्मी नरसिंहदेव भगवान की भक्त शिरोमणि श्री प्रह्लाद महाराज की गौर प्रेमानंदे। अभी यहाँ पर अंग्रेजी में श्रीमद् भगवद गीता पर प्रवचन होगी। जिनको यहाँ सुनना है वो कृपया यहाँ बैठे रहें 7:30 से 8:30 बजे तक। देयर विल बी क्लास ऑन भगवद गीता हेयर इन इंग्लिश फ्रॉम 7:30 PM to 8:30 PM. So those who want to listen it, please be kindly seated. Don't make noise. Hare Krishna. गर्मी हो रहा है, एसी लगाओ यार। Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. जय कलियुग पावन श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते। तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। So we are reading from the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, text number 63. 62 and 63 together. ध्यायतो विषयान् पुंसा संगस्तेषु उपजायते संगात् संजायते काम कामात् क्रोधो विजायते क्रोधात् भवति सम्मोहः सम्मोहात् स्मृतिविभ्रमः स्मृतिभ्रंशात् बुद्धिनाशो बुद्धिनाशात् प्रणश्यति। While contemplating the objects of the senses, a person develops attachment for them, and from such attachment for lust develops, and from lust anger arises. From anger complex delusion arises, complete delusion arises, and from delusion bewilderment of memory. When memory is bewildered, intelligence is lost, And when intelligence is lost, one falls down again into the material pool. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Sri Rupa Goswami has given us this direction. Prapanchikataya buddhya hari sambandhi vastuna mumukshubhi parityago vairagyam falgu kathyate. By development of Krishna consciousness, one can know that everything has its use in the service of the Lord. Those who are without knowledge of Krishna consciousness artificially try to avoid material objects. And as a result, although they desire liberation from material bondage, they do not attain to the perfect stage of renunciation. Their so-called renunciation is called falgu, or less important. On the other hand, a person in Krishna consciousness knows how to use everything in the service of the Lord. Therefore, he does not become a victim of material consciousness. For example, for an impersonalist, the Lord or the Absolute, being impersonal, cannot eat. Whereas an impersonalist tries to avoid good eatables, a devotee knows that Krishna is a supreme enjoyer and that he eats all that is offered to him in devotion. So after offering good eatables to the Lord, the devotee takes the remnants called prasadam. Thus everything becomes spiritualized and there is no danger of a downfall. The devotee takes prasadam in Krishna consciousness, whereas the non-devotee rejects it as material. The impersonalist therefore cannot enjoy life due to his artificial renunciation. And for this reason, a slight agitation of the mind pulls him down again into the pool of material existence. It is said that such a soul, even though rising up to the point of liberation, falls down again due to his not having support in devotional service. So we'll continue our discussion on last week's theme. This is how a yogi falls from his position. So Krishna is talking about someone who is a yogi is trying to advance in spiritual life. How he gets distracted by some attraction. So it begins with dhyan. Dhyayato vishayan pumsaha. You contemplate on an object you desire. You think about it. And by prolonged thinking, you develop attraction for it. And then if you continue thinking about it, then you become possessive about it. Lust. Sangat sanjayate kamaha. Kama means intense desire to obtain it. And kamat krodho vijayate. When you are possessive about something, and if you don't get it, krodho vijayate, you get angry. Then krodhat bhavati sammoha. When you are angry, sammoha. Sammoha means bewilderment. You are not sure what to do. You behave recklessly. Sammoha. Then sammohat smriti vibhrama. You lose memory. Smriti is memory. You forget what is right, what is wrong. And then smriti bhramshad buddhi nasho. When memory is lost, and then your intelligence becomes polluted. Memory loss means not just loss of data. Memory loss means loss of or forgetfulness of values and principles. Not just some information we have collected here and there from school, textbooks, internet. Not that kind of loss of memory. We forget what is right and what is wrong. The principles and ethics and values and morals, we forget. Then buddhi nasho. The buddhi which is supposed to guide the mind, that is polluted. The buddhi starts working in the opposite direction. What is right, we think it is wrong. And what is wrong, we think it is right. That is buddhi nasho. And then buddhi nashat pranashyati. That's the end of, that is the complete fall of the yogi. So in the purport, Prabhupada talks about how one can avoid thinking about objects. Right? We are moving around in this world. We see billboards, we see advertisements, we see so many people, so many objects. Something is going to stick to our mind. Right? And then you will think about it. How can one avoid that? You cannot close your eyes and walk. You cannot stop talking to people, stop interacting with events. Even if we stay closed behind closed doors, still something is going to come in front of us. So then how to avoid this dhyan? Physically staying away is impossible. So then Krishna says, or our Acharya explains, Prabhupada explains here, one has to change the type of thoughts. So someone who artificially tries to stay away from thoughts, what risk he is going through. And someone who changes the type of thoughts, what advantages he or she has. So this is a nice verse by one of our acharyas, 15th century saint, by the name Rupa Goswami. Rupa Goswami happened to be a very confidential follower of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Lord Chaitanya. And some of the most foundational books he has written. So he says, very important principle. He talks about Yukta Vairagya and Falgu Vairagya. Two types of Vairagya. One is proper renunciation, Yukta Vairagya, and one is improper renunciation or artificial renunciation, Falgu Vairagya. So what are these two terms? So he explains. Anasaktasya vishayan yatharham upayunjatah nirbandha krishna sambandhe yuktam vairagyam uchyate. So how to remain detached? How to remain unaffected by things around us? So he says anasaktasya vishayan. By remaining anasakta. Asakti is attachment. Anasakta is non-attachment or non-possessiveness. Anasaktasya vishayan. About vishaya. Vishaya means objects. Objects of the senses. Yatharham upayunjata nirbandha krishna sambandhi. So it's easy to say, okay, don't be attached. But that's not so easy. To say it is easy. But until we use those objects in a positive sense. Positive sense means in the service of Krishna. That's the highest positive sense. Positive can be many things, but ultimately everything is supposed to be used in service of God. So when we use in Krishna Sambandhe, then that Vairagyam is Yuktam Vairagyam Uchyate. That kind of renunciation is properly situated. That is sustainable renunciation. Prabhupada gives the example. Suppose you are walking on the road and you find a wallet with some money, cash. So what can you do? There are three reactions, three ways to respond. Someone will see the wallet and he will see around, कोई देख तो नहीं रहा है, कोई देख नहीं रहा है, तो चलो उठा लो, अपने बैग में डाल दो. Another reaction, another person walks in, he sees the same cash, he says, मेरा तो नहीं है. He just walks away. Third person comes. He sees the same wallet. He opens it, he sees the address, name, telephone number. He calls them up and says, oh, have you lost money? Yeah, I lost. Okay, I can hand it over to you. And then he gives it and hands it over. And then he thanks. So of the three, which is the best? The third one. Which is the worst? First one. So first one is bhogi. Second one is tyagi. Third one is yogi. So yuktam, he is utilizing. He is not attached to it, nor is he falsely rejecting it. He is just connecting it to the right person. Similarly, we as people staying in this world, we will see so many objects, so many resources, good and bad. Money will come, resources will come, objects and gadgets and name, fame, prestige, respect, so many things will come. What should be our attitude? Am I using it for my own selfish purpose? Or am I just rejecting it? Oh, no, it's not mine. Or am I using them for a right cause? So one who enjoys them is like the person stealing the money. One who rejects them, that is also not the best. Because it has come to you for a cause, for a purpose. There is a right way of using it. If you don't know how to use it, that's another thing. Okay, you may reject it. But better to learn how to use them and then use them. So artificially rejecting is bad. So Rupa Goswami here explains, Nirbandha Krishna Sambandhe. You acquire whatever is coming to you by your hard work, by your destiny, by your inheritance, whichever way you may get your property and money and other resources. Learn how to use them in the service of Krishna. And that is actually yoga. You are using renunciation for connecting yourself to Krishna. You are using these resources properly, not selfishly, possessively enjoying them. You are using it for the right person. Prabhupada gives another example. A bank cashier. So many people keep depositing their amount in a bank. The cashier thinks, oh, so much money is coming, it's for me. And there is a problem there. Right? And at the end of the day, he may carry everything to his home. Then he will be arrested. At the same time, if someone comes to withdraw money, he may feel depressed. अरे यार इतना पैसा नुकसान हो रहा है. तेरा पैसा है ही नहीं, पहली बात. So what he has to do? He just has to deposit, collect the money, put it in the right place. When someone withdraws, check the document and give them whatever they are demanding. So that way he is unattached. He's just doing his duty. Similarly, we have to be, this verse says, we have to be like that. Things will come to us by way of so many factors. We don't possessively keep them for our enjoyment. But we use them for the right cause. The right cause being Krishna, service to Krishna. So that is yuktam vairagyam uchyate. And the opposite is falgu vairagya. This is an interesting phrase. Falgu. Falgu is like faltu. Falgu, there is a river Falgu, somewhere in Bihar. So that river is usually dry. So, but if you look from above, it is dry. There is no water in the river. But then if you scratch the surface, then you will find wet sand, wet mud. So Falgu Vairagya is used to show that there are people who may say, I am so renounced, I am not possessive, I don't have anything, I don't have any possessions, money. Externally, they appear to be highly renounced, Vairagis. But then you scratch a little bit the surface of their minds, and you will find so many desires, teeming desires beneath the surface. One opportunity to enjoy, their show of renunciation will vanish. That is a very dangerous situation. Because how long can you stay away artificially from sense objects? One temptation, one opportunity to enjoy, and then no one is watching you. Then you feel, "Arey, koi dekh nahi raha hai, let me enjoy." So that kind of renunciation is risky. So therefore, Rupa Goswami advises, Falgu Vairagya is useless. Yuktam Vairagyam Uchyate. That's safe. So the whole process of Krishna consciousness is how to channelize our desires, our tendencies, our resources, our mind, body, intelligence, words, everything in the service of Krishna. Jai Shri Radha Gopinath Bhagavan ki. How to utilize all these resources in the service of Krishna. That way, even when we are interacting with the world outside, if we are fixed in this purpose, nothing is for me, everything for Krishna. If with this purpose we move around in the world, then there is no risk. Temptations may come, but then we know it's not for me. It's for Krishna. If some loss happens, we don't go into a depression. Not anyway, not mine anyway. Just like the cashier. If he gives out some money to people who are withdrawing, he doesn't have to get into depression. अरे यार 1 लाख withdraw कर लिया, बैंक में कम हो गया. He doesn't have to worry. That's not his money anyway. Similarly, when we get something or when we lose something, we remain equipoised, not affected by material happiness, not affected by material distress. So in this way, Rupa Goswami gives us this warning, how to deal with objects of this world when we are moving around. Because the natural tendency is, the mind will convince us. Why not enjoy? A temptation comes, natural response of the mind is, come on, why not? What is stopping you from enjoying? No one is watching. And what's wrong? Everyone is doing. So you also enjoy. So when this question comes, why not? Then we have to recall all the good instructions. Why we should not indulge? Because then this problem, this risk, this consequence, the mind will try to convince, अरे कुछ नहीं, ये सब आगे की बात है, किसने देखा है? But then the mind has to recall, this is the consequence. This may not be immediately, later in the future. But unfortunately, the mind shuts down all the memories, the good instructions. And then we forget. So just like if a soldier is fighting, is a soldier in the battlefield, he can't be relaxed. Right? Anytime enemy can attack. So he has to have his weapons ready, all the guns and whatever weapons has to be ready. He can't wait for an attack and then, "Arey, banduk kahan hai?" He can't do that. Right? He has to be ready. Similarly, these instructions that the Shastra gives us, we have to have them handy. Whenever there is an attack by Maya, attack by temptations, then the revolver has to be ready. This is the instruction meant to handle this kind of attack. So therefore we need to regularly study, be in touch with wisdom texts. Wisdom texts like the Gita, the Bhagavatam, the Vedic knowledge. Because they give us so many stories and accounts, historical accounts of people who have fallen victims to temptations and how they were saved by following the right instruction. So therefore we have to regularly study, so that when we are faced with a similar attack, then we know, "Arey, similar case had happened. I don't want to follow that footstep." So ultimately what will save us is not simply a remembrance of instruction. Even if someone knows this is going to happen, still the temptation can be so strong that all the instructions are like deleted permanently, at least for the time being. We say, "ठीक है, बाद में. Right now, let me enjoy." In spite of knowing all the instruction. Just like an addict. Someone may be addicted to smoking, drinking. They know smoking is going to cause cancer and liver problem and other things. But then that instruction, if you tell them, they will say, "I know. I know everything. You don't have to tell me anything new. I know this will cause lung cancer and intestine cancer and tongue cancer." सबको पता है तो क्या? How can you help them? Similarly, knowledge may be there about the consequence and the dangers. But when the force of temptation is so strong, knowledge takes a backseat. It doesn't help. So in this way, we have to deal with the mind. The mind is sometimes compared to enemy neighbor. So someone is staying as a neighbor, but then he's an enemy. He's always desiring harm to you. Just like countries, we have neighboring countries, hostile neighbors. So if those people are sending spies and terrorists inside, so we have to be careful, right? And we have to have our own intelligence systems, our own police force, always guarding who is entering the border areas. But if you think, no, the neighbor is such a nice friend, they won't do any harm. So then we put our guards down. And these people will infiltrate. And then they may cause greater damage. Similarly, mind is oftentimes compared to an enemy. In the Gita, Krishna says, "Bandhur atmatmanastasya yenatmaivatmano jitaha anatmanastu shatrutve vartet atmaiva shatruvat." An uncontrolled mind, Krishna says, is an enemy. And for most of us, the mind is uncontrolled, which means the mind is behaving like an enemy. And when the mind is controlled, the mind is like a friend. But that's a rare case for most people. So we have to assume the mind is an enemy. Any thought the mind brings out is usually a harmful thought. We have to always check with Shastric injunctions, intellect, wisdom texts. Is this thought encouraged by Shastra? Pursuing this idea, is it good for me? Or is it bad? If it is bad, I need to reject it. I need to not pursue it. If it is good, then I will follow it. In this way, the mind has to be dealt. So in this verse, krodhat bhavati sammoha. Krishna says from anger, sammoha, delusion happens. So dangers of anger, we all know, so many cases we hear, crimes and terrorist attacks. There is one nice story in the Mahabharata. This is a story of Bhishma and Amba. Heard of Amba? So there were three sisters, Amba, Ambika and Ambalika. They were daughters of one king, and their Swayamvar was held. So Bhishma heard about this. Bhishma is in Hastinapur. In the early days before the Mahabharata, long before the Mahabharata war. Bhishma was young. But Bhishma had taken a vow that he is not going to marry. But he had his two brothers, Chitrangada and Vichitravirya. He wanted them to marry. So he thought, I'll go and check these girls, these princesses. So he goes there in the Swayamvar ceremony. And he says all these people have come, part of the competition for Swayamvar. But Bhishma says, I don't want to wait for the competition, there's no time. So he just goes and kidnaps those girls, those princesses, and carries them, puts them in the chariot on the way to Hastinapur. So other people are saying, Arey, Swayamvar hua hi nahi, he's just taking them away, how dare he does that? So they prepare a fight, they challenge Bhishma. But Bhishma is no match. They are no match for Bhishma. So Bhishma easily defeats everyone. There's one king, Shalva. He kind of challenges Bhishma. So the fight happens for some time, but Bhishma again defeats him. He doesn't kill him. And then he goes carrying the three princesses. And then they reach Hastinapur. So there, upon reaching Hastinapur, the eldest one, Amba, she tells Bhishma, look, actually, I was going to marry Shalva. It was already decided. Swayamvar was just an excuse. There I was going to choose him. We had already decided. But then now you kidnapped me. Know what to do. You tell me what to do. So Bhishma is like, oh, aisa hai kya? He said, okay, let me just consult with my advisors. So he goes to the advisors and then they say, okay, send her back. Let her go back. Why unnecessarily spoil her life? So Bhishma sends her back to her father's city. So Amba comes back. And she goes to Shalva, saying, look, we have already decided to marry. I have come back. Now Shalva's decision has changed. He said, no, now I cannot marry you. I tried my best to get you back, but then Bhishma captured you. So now you are his. I cannot marry you. But Amba says, but I have given my heart to you. And I came back all the way from there. Shalva is adamant, no, sorry. So Amba then goes back to Hastinapur, to Bhishma. And she tells Bhishma, "Daisa to ho gaya." He refused to accept me. So now you marry me. Bhishma says, hey, this is too much. I have taken a vow of brahmacharya. And I didn't kidnap you for me to marry. I kidnapped you for others too. But then they already have queens now, other two princesses. So I cannot marry you. So now ये इसका भी ना घर का ना घाट का हो गया ना, यहाँ भी नहीं वहाँ भी नहीं. So she is wondering what to do. She gets angry at Bhishma. You destroyed my life. I can't go back. I can't stay here. So she decides to take revenge. So she talks to many people what to do. So then she decides to do tapasya, austerities. And then someone advises, you do one thing. You go to Bhishma's teacher, Parashuram. If Parashuram tells him, then he may agree to marry you. So she goes to Parashuram. Parashuram is an avatar of Vishnu, who had taken the avatar to establish dharma long back, and then he had retired from his main activities, and then he was engaging in tapasya in the Himalayas. So he was not going to fight again. His fighting business was over. But then Amba goes there and tells, this is my condition. This Bhishma has destroyed my life. If you tell him to marry me, then there's some hope. So Parashuram says, okay, I'll try. So he goes to Bhishma and says, look, this is not right. You spoiled her life. So, you marry her. Bhishma said, but I have taken a vow. Lifelong brahmacharya. So I cannot, that is more sacred for me. She will find someone else. Why me only? So, no, Parashuram said, no, you do one thing. I am ordering you. I am your teacher, right? So I am ordering you. So you marry. So Bhishma gets angry. He said, I know, that's not going to happen. So then he said, okay, then you fight with me. Either I will kill you or you marry. So bada challenge ho gaya. Life and death situation aa gaya abhi. So Bhishma agrees to fight. And the fight begins between Parashuram and Bhishma. The fight goes on for several days, 25 or 27 days, 30 days, almost a month. And Parashuram is unable to defeat Bhishma. In fact, Bhishma was about to kill Parashuram. But then celestial people came and advised him, hey, this is not right. Don't go to that extent to kill Parashuram. Stop here. So in this way, they stop fighting and Parashuram says, oh, I am very pleased with you. I think you are successful. Your decision to remain unmarried is good. So I bless you. And then he tells Amba, sorry, I tried my best. You find some other solution. So Amba is now burning with anger. This person has spoiled my life. So she continues performing austerities, penances. She goes under the Ganga and standing on one leg, she's performing hardcore meditation. And then Ganga Devi comes there and she advises, why do you want to do this? Ganga's son, na? Bhishma. Bhishma happens to be Ganga's son. So she also tries to desist her. But then she is determined, Amba. Then someone advises her, do one thing. You worship Lord Shiva. Shiva can help you. So then she worships Lord Shiva. After a long time, Shiva comes to her, appears before her. And what do you want? She said, I want to kill Bhishma. She said, but how can you kill? You are a woman and he is a man. So you do whatever you want. So okay, then next life you will take birth as a man. And then you can kill Bhishma. So it's all arising from anger. Amba's anger towards Bhishma. So next life, Amba takes birth as a child of Drupada. Drupada happens to be the father of Draupadi. So she takes birth as a girl. But then Lord Shiva tells the parents, Drupada and his wife, that now she is a girl, but in the future she will become a man. So they said, okay. They're waiting. When will the girl turn into a man? So din guzar gaya. She's growing up, still a female. Marriage time came, still a female woman. तो शादी कैसे कराएं? Man or woman? They decide they will marry her to a girl, although she is a girl, because she is going to become a boy. So they spread the word, looking for a girl, and then some king says, okay, our daughter is there, and marriage happens. Her name is, no, this girl's, Drupadi's daughter's name is Shikhandi. Shikhandi, the woman, is marrying another woman. And that woman is thinking this is man. Interesting, complex story. So, one woman marrying another woman. अभी कितना दिन छुपा के रखेंगे नहीं? Ultimately, eventually they come to know. Hey, this Drupad has cheated us. He got me married to another woman. And she goes and tells her father, अरे ऐसा ऐसा हो गया, फंसा दिया हमको. That king becomes really angry. He comes out with an army to attack Drupad. And Drupad is wondering, Shiva is praying to Lord Shiva, do something. Convert her into a man soon, immediately. So when this confusion is happening, Shikhandi feels, I am the cause of all trouble. Because of me, this now country is in danger, this kingdom is in danger, this army is attacking. So she goes into forest. Shikhandi, the female, goes into forest. There she finds one place, a palace of a yaksha. So this yaksha, she goes inside and she goes into great depression. And then she meets this yaksha. The yaksha welcomes her, what happened, and she tells her old story. Aisa aisa ho gaya. So yaksha feels pity on her. So what can I do? So make me a man. So yaksha says, okay, I can do that, but only for a temporary period. So you come back after 1 month, and then we will exchange our gender. So now I'll make you into a man, I'll become woman. Your gender we will exchange. So she says, okay. So Yaksha becomes a woman, Shikhandi becomes a man. And Shikhandi goes back to Drupada. By the time the army has come, and she tells, I am a man. So king, father-in-law, so he says, I heard that you are a woman, you are a girl, now you are saying you are a man. So they do all the gender testing, and finally it's confirmed. She is a man only. I mean, he is a man. So there's some miscommunication, something happened. So there is no issue. So they are happy, everyone is happy, Drupad is happy, the other king is happy, Shikhandi is happy, everyone is happy. Because the girl was married to a man only. So, but Shikhandi has promised the Yaksha. So after some time, 1 month, she goes back to the Yaksha, saying, as promised, I have come back. Meanwhile, there in the Yaksha's place, Kuvera, you could see the king of the Yaksha, the leader of the Yaksha is Kuvera, the treasurer of the demigods. So Kuvera happens to come in that forest area for some purpose. And then he's waiting outside this palace, hoping that someone will invite him, welcome him inside. But this Yaksha is inside, who has now become a woman. So he is ashamed to come out and welcome Kuvera. So Kuvera gets angry. I am waiting here and no one is welcoming inside. So he sends his messengers inside, and then he finds out, this person, the Yaksha, is now a woman and is ashamed to come out. So Kuvera gets angry. So come on, what did you do? Who will do this kind of blunder? Exchanging your gender for some unknown person? So Yaksha says, but I felt compassion for her, that's why I did. And it's only temporary arrangement. Kuvera gets angry. He says, you permanently remain a woman. That means Shikhandi will permanently remain a man. So Yaksha feels really unhappy, sad. So then, but permanently means how long? Until Shikhandi dies. Once Shikhandi dies, you will regain your manhood. So in that way, Yaksha remained a woman. Shikhandi comes back again. She doesn't know. So Shikhandi comes back and says, come, I have come to, our agreement was 1 month. So Yaksha says, don't worry, you continue to remain a man, I will remain a woman. Only once you die, then I will regain the manhood. So Shikhandi is very happy now. She goes back, and then things are settled. So that Shikhandi, her earlier life was Amba. So as Shiva's blessing, she became a man, and then she has this pent-up anger against Bhishma. So then the war begins, Kurukshetra Mahabharat war time. So who is telling this story? This story is actually told by Bhishma. Bhishma is narrating about Amba to Duryodhan in the battlefield. So one day of the battle, before Bhishma falls, maybe 7th or 8th day of the battle, Duryodhan is inquiring, what is the status of the war? How are we going ahead? How are we progressing? So in that discussion, Bhishma tells Duryodhan, this is the history of me, my history. And I can fight only as long as Shikhandi is not in front of me. Because if Shikhandi attacks me, I am not going to fight. Because Shikhandi, I consider Shikhandi to be a woman. Because he was born a woman, born a girl. Now he is a man, but she was born a woman. So I treat him like a woman. And I won't fight with a woman. So then Shikhandi, that was the agreement between Arjuna and Bhishma. Shikhandi will stand and challenge Bhishma. Behind Arjuna will stand, and Arjuna will attack Bhishma. In this way, Bhishma was defeated. Otherwise, no one would have been able to defeat Bhishma. So this is the result of that pent-up anger. Past life ka anger, Amba carried forward throughout her life, and then as Shikhandi in the next life. So all these emotions, sometimes we may wonder, where did I get all these emotions? Whether it is anger or lust or greed or some frustration we may release on someone, not knowing where it is coming from. It could be of this life, it could be our upbringing, our childhood, some traumatic events, or it could be from past life. Past life matlab any number of past lives, not necessarily the immediate past. Unlimited past lives. Some things keep stored in our subconscious mind and then they keep coming out. And then we are unable to figure out what caused this reaction, unexpected. So in this way, but Krishna deals with all these things, how to get rid of all these negative emotions. Ultimately, we have to focus our mind on spiritual subject matters, devotional subject matters, which is like a cleaning agent. Lord Chaitanya calls it Cheto Darpan Marjanam. Our mind is full of accumulated dust, all these negative emotions, and the best way to clean the mirror of the mind is by hearing and chanting divine sound vibrations, especially Krishna's holy names, Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. When we repeatedly vibrate this sound, such sounds, and hear those sounds, that's the best way to wipe out all these pent-up negative emotions from the mind, from the heart. And then once the mind is clean, then we can focus our mind on Krishna, more concentration ke saath. So in this way, Krishna is talking about the dangers of anger. Anger leads to ultimately fall, loss of intelligence, loss of memory, and that's the end of the yogi's journey towards on the path of spiritual perfection. Then someday again he may come up, but then it's a long-term damage. It's very difficult again to rise and continue the journey. So he's giving those warning signals here. So we'll stop here for today. If anyone has any comment, question, thoughts.
Hare Krishna. The story of Amba was excellent, rejoinder for our survival as well as when looking at the future. Now, two things I want to clarify, because one is that when both the Kauravas and Pandavas went to after their death, they went to heaven. I mean, that itself was a shock, especially for Pandavas. How is that related to our this thing, doing good, doing bad things? That is one. Number two, there is a beautiful song also on the film Kajal, Tora Man Darpan. You were just referred as Darpan. It is our really mirror. It is our heart is actually mirror of what we, because it follows us. So it's a good message which you give. But if you can clarify this, how Pandavas
Why both of them went to heaven? So that's a temporary. Heaven is not a permanent destination. Heaven and hell are both temporary destinations. So some good they may have done in their life. The Pandavas also went. The Kauravas also went. But after that, what? So we don't have to look at the immediate result. Ultimately, they say if you are committing Vaishnava Aparadh, especially committing crimes against some empowered agents of Krishna, then that's a big danger, big reaction you get. But temporarily, for some few short period, they may have gone to heaven, enjoyed. Uske baad, we don't know. That is not described in the Mahabharata. But that doesn't mean you do anything, you do all kinds of nonsense in your life, and then you go to heaven. Then what's the point in giving value instructions? If ultimately both are ending up in heaven, then why talk about Mahabharata? You do your life whatever you want, and ultimately everyone is going to end up in heaven. Right? So the Bhagavatam talks about the dangers of Vaishnava Aparadh and the destination you get. So that's how it is. Okay, thank you so much. Hare Krishna.